Relatives, my name is Emerson John, Cultural Liaison Specialist for Health Promotion here at Hozho Medical Center. Not often at Ch'iyáán Enshlido Tsatna Jenny Bashashin Totachini Dashachedo Ch'iyáán Bahane. I am here to talk about our traditional food, Ch'iyáán Bahane. Normally, it's shared by the women Hasani Batahane because they are the caretakers of the food. Because I was raised by my grandmother, and she told me a lot about these stories, these ways, these practices within our culture. I was able to research back and put these stories back together because nowadays we don't share these stories with our children, with our grandchildren. And I know that health is very important. Taking care of yourself. Self-care is very important as we promote health promotion and as we prevent diseases that are hindering our people out there in the community. Ch'iyáán Bahane. It's a very beautiful story that it has a lot of integration of health, taking care of yourself, taking care of your mind, body and spirit. Food, our traditional food, was created and developed so that it could penetrate our mind, body, and spirit and keep us healthy. I want to start off with, we call this series number 3, Hozho, and the resonance of our traditional food and prayers. Ch'iyáán Bitsotizan, Ch'iyáán my grandmother said, the food can hear you. When you prepare food, it can hear you because it has that spiritual connection. That fire, they all have that energy, they all have that power to hear. How you address we say grandpa fire, grandmother fire. We say that in how we address the fire, in how we make that connection, and that's how we address. And then also the fire poker, the one that we use when we cook. It has that power energy. Begin, and then how the Hunashkish was brought and into our culture. My coyote is the one that when the people stole the fire from us, the flicker, so the coyote brought the fire back. So now we call it grandpa fire, grandmother fire. You know, every time when the grandmother cooks from that open fire, you say, this food that I prepare could be a blessing, could have a spiritual blessing to my children, my grandchildren, and that they would, have a healthy body, and that their intestinal organs could be strong, and that they would acknowledge these blessings from all the from four direction. That's how they put their prayers down. And then other tribe, they practice this as well. When the food is set, they take pieces and put it aside. That means that they're feeding the deities. The deities. They give it back and make offering to the deities. The blessings from the deities. They feed that. In everything in our culture, we have to make offerings. How everything is all connected in all four directions. And how it makes that connection. We have to make offerings like that because we believe that this it has a spiritual power, that we believe that it has that spiritual energy in there. And then also, my grandmother used to sing the song, and say, on the way, she sings the song saying that the cornfield, from the blessing of the cornfield, all the traditional food, it's offering prayers to me. It's trying to make that connection. My grandmother sings these songs. So, food or traditional food or whatever you prepared at your home place, at your fire, make offerings. And then a lot of times we just all sit down at the table and then we eat. My grandmother's rule is that we all sit at the table and then we don't have, at that time, we don't have cell phones. It says, I want you guys to listen to me. I have some teachings to offer while you guys are eating. I want you guys to eat, and I want you guys to taste this cultural teaching. I want you to taste it. I want you to feel it. I want you to swallow these traditional stories with the food that I made. I hear a lot of people say, I heard this story, but I don't know, but it just went into this ear, went out to this ear. They say that. But when you teach at the table, when you gather at the table, everybody is in tune and everybody appreciate the food there. And again, food has ways to listen to you. I have some utensils. The stirring stick. My grandmother says the bottom of the stirring stick is the earth. It represents the universe. The beam from the crystal beam. There's 7 sticks within our stirring stick because the story relates to the Pleiades, the 7 sisters. We call it, or we either call it the 7 children. How the children, at one time, they had handicapped children, and people didn't want those children, and they were embarrassed of these children, and they don't take care of themselves. So they should, oscillate them over there. Let them, let them suffer over there, because they're not really like us. They're handicapped. Opata at that people said at that time. The next day, people check on these kids. They were very happy. They were playing in the mud. And then they just kind of looked at them. The next day, they went over there, and then they were doing the same thing. They were all taking care of one another, and they were playing. They were very happy. The third day, they went and checked on these children. And then, they were really happy and cheerful. And at that time, the question, why are these children very happy? On the fourth day, they checked on it, then there was no children. So they kind of started looking around and following the tracks to the east. Just not too far from the Hogan, the tracks were gone. So they all became a spiritual being that went to the east and became Pleiades. This is a weapon that belongs to a woman. And when you have this in your home, it guards your home, it guards your food, and then also is a weapon against poverty. Adonan be'ajo dedo you cleanse in the grinding stone. What be'elzoto ato cleanse and everything. The reason why this was put together was that hatila chidon ila hatno shi kinal taco. So kwake dina judge and ako bahane. Adon ta setashchin ante yeitso ne alachinti setashchin. It belonged to a giant. Deep at Sotilzen, Yosan Lachan, Dishi Sotilzen, use this for protection. The grinding stone. What does it mean? It's Soshi. And also, John that Dina Hassan Edolil. This would be the Mother Earth, and this would be the universe. And and he remembered the concept of the corn and the squash, the beans and the tobacco. It made a connection with the earth and in the universe. The earth, and this will be the universe. Making that connection, making that grinding with the traditional food. For protection. And how I said the weapon, the woman's weapon, how they take this outside when they make blue corn mush or any traditional food. They take these corn mush off and sometimes they lick on it because they hold this very spiritually. And how it also serves as their protection, their guard. The same thing with this one. You always hold this on your left and you blow it's and away from you. Akoko kinal tahazne ko so this corn grinding stone represents resilience. Yon is not the male and the female concept. You grind the food because the food is very spiritually it penetrates the body. So, and then this also, so the giant said, this will also protect the home. Protect the home. It's going to protect that fire. It's going to also protect that and then he placed this the corn grinding stone on the north side of the Hogan, inside Khatat and late it in Huta Sezongo, so it prevents poverty to not come into your home. You will always have nutritional food in your home. From that, the teachings, my grandmother says, that's the reason why when somebody comes to your home, you always offer something to eat for your visitors, so that continues to grow, because this is like a home security thing that you have in your home. Every time when you have a daughter or a granddaughter that reaches their puberty age, they use this to straighten their body. They use this to straighten their and also understand the powerful ingredients in this food. So Adonana Ch'iyáán Bahane. These are some of the traditional food that we have. There's lots of traditional food that we have. Even the yucca fruits, we have that. The deer meat. Those are traditional food, and they have lots of stories to it. And some of these food was made by the white shell woman. The ones that go with the clan. Put down it's like our refreshment or snack when the people journeyed to the east, to the four sacred mountain. They were given deer meat and made into jerky. Also not the yucca fruit, they don't need these three food, they journey with that. And all has that clan connection. Ch'iyáán from a sumac, and how that became our traditional food is mainly used the bark from sumac that they use for bedding, and then also used for the cradle board bedding. This is the food that is shared with human, the animals, the animals like the bear, the deer, and they share it with human. That they trade it, that blessing. We use that in our food. All of these traditional food that I'm talking about is very spiritual and it's used in ceremonial ways. The blue cornbread. When they were going to have a ceremony for the twin warriors, there was a little boy called Ch'iyáán Bahane, this very spiritual boy, to go gather some herbs for the ceremony and gather some plants for the ceremony. Went on top of the Buffalo Pass. He met up with the 7 buffaloes up there. The buffaloes were hungry. The little boy had blue cornbread in his pouch. So they asked him, do you have anything to eat? But he took out his blue cornbread and shared with the buffaloes. So not knowing that the buffaloes were the carrier of the medicine, the herbal medicine. So they traded, and he fed the 7 buffaloes, and they gave him the herbal medicine. So from that day on, anytime we use plants for our sermon, we have to make offering. And long time ago, the blue cornbread was the only token or a payment for a medicine man. That whole thing changed. They said that when you give a blue cornbread to a medicine man, that's one of the biggest payment you'll make. That means that the ceremonies will be effective. The ceremony will be a healing. And then there was no doubt that the ceremony is going to heal that sick person. And so these representations, how our traditional food, and our people, when they have kinalta, they will rub this, and then and then also the same way with the fetish stones. Long time ago, before Avon, we used fetish stone to grind it and put it on her face. That gives that healthy and instills a cleansing in our skin, in our pores. So with that, I hope you learn about these Ch'iyáán Bahane. I hope you understood the Ch'iyáán Bahane. I hope you felt that blessing, the spiritual blessing from these stories, because this is, we want to carry these stories on to our children, to our grandchildren, and their children. We have to somehow preserve our cultural stories, and I'm happy and honored to share these stories with you in 3 series.